This waste is not for ordinary men. I need a chief, a warrior, a king. You village men are too small, too poor, too common for a woman like me.
Zara's wrapper tore with a loud rip as she tried to squeeze through the doorway of her mother's hut. The sound echoed across the compound, and she froze, her massive waist wedged between the wooden posts. Sweat dripped down her face as she struggled, her breathing sharp and panicked. This couldn't be happening, not now, not when the entire village was gathering for the chief's feast. Zara, what's wrong? Her mother's voice came from inside the hut, followed by hurried footsteps. Nothing, Mama, I'm fine. Zara's voice cracked as she pushed harder, feeling the doorframe creak under the pressure. Her waist, once her pride and the envy of every woman in Akala village, had become a prison. And it was still growing. But this story didn't start with a girl trapped in a doorway. It started 3 months earlier, when Zara was just an ordinary young woman with ordinary dreams. Back then, Zara would watch from the shadows of the marketplace as men gathered around Afua, the village beauty. Afua's waist swayed like palm trees in the wind, her curves celebrated in songs the young men composed. Zara would look down at her own slim figure and feel invisible, like smoke dissolving into air. One evening, as the sun painted the sky orange, Zara sat by the village well, her reflection rippling in the water below. She barely recognized the sadness in her own eyes. You look like a woman who wants something she doesn't have. The voice came from behind her, raspy and knowing. Zara spun around to find an old woman draped in dark cloth, her face hidden beneath a hood. Silver trinkets hung from her neck, clinking softly. I don't know what you mean, Zara stammered. Yes, you do, child. I see it in your eyes. You want to be noticed. You want to be desired. You want men to stop in their tracks when you walk by. The old woman stepped closer, and Zara could smell herbs and smoke on her clothes. I am Mama Ya. I can give you what you seek. Zara's heart pounded. How? Come to the forest tomorrow at midnight. Bring 3 cowrie shells and a red cloth. I will show you. Mama Ya's smile revealed gaps between her teeth. But remember, child, all beauty has a price. Zara should have walked away. She should have run home to her mother. But desire is a powerful thing, and the next night she found herself creeping through the dark forest, red cloth clutched in her trembling hands. Mama Ya was waiting beside a small fire, grinding herbs in a wooden bowl. You came. Good. Sit. Zara obeyed, her legs shaking as she lowered herself onto a log. This charm will give you the waist every woman in Akala wishes she had, Mama Ya said, pulling out a small leather pouch filled with black powder and tiny bones. Tie it around your waist beneath your wrapper. By morning you will see the change. Will it hurt? Zara whispered. Does a butterfly feel pain when it leaves its cocoon? Mama Ya's laugh was cold. Take it. But remember, once you start, you must come back each week for the charm to remain strong. Miss a week, and everything you gain will vanish. Zara took the pouch with shaking hands, paid her cowrie shells, and hurried home through the darkness. That night, she tied the charm around her waist and fell asleep with her heart full of hope and her mind full of dreams. When morning light streamed through her window, Zara rushed to the clay pot that served as her mirror. Her breath caught in her throat. Her waist had widened, her hips fuller, her figure transformed into something close to Afua's celebrated shape. Thank you, she whispered to her reflection. Thank you, thank you, thank you. At the marketplace that afternoon, Zara walked differently. She swayed her hips with each step, her wrapper hugging curves that hadn't existed the day before. And people noticed. Zara, is that you? Old Mama Adjoa called out, her eyes wide. What happened to you? Nothing happened, Mama. Perhaps you just never really looked at me before, Zara replied, her voice carrying a new edge. The men noticed too. Kofi, the farmer's son, who had barely glanced at Zara before, now stood frozen as she passed, his basket of yams forgotten in his hands. Zara, he called out, jogging to catch up with her. I was wondering if perhaps you'd like to walk with me by the river this evening. Zara stopped and looked him up and down slowly, deliberately. Walk with you, a farmer's son with dirt under his fingernails? She laughed, the sound sharp as broken pottery. Kofi, look at me, really look. Do you think a woman with a waist like mine should settle for a man like you? Kofi's face fell, and several nearby villagers gasped at her rudeness. But Zara didn't care. She tossed her head and continued walking, feeling powerful for the first time in her life. Each week, Zara returned to Mama Ya in the forest, paying more cowrie shells for stronger charms. And each week, her waist grew larger, more impressive, more impossible to ignore. She began to dress in the finest wrappers she could afford, colours that announced her presence before she even entered a room. My waist is not for ordinary men, she declared at the marketplace one afternoon, loud enough for everyone to hear. I need a chief, a warrior, a king. You village men are too small, too poor, too common for a woman like me. The other women whispered among themselves, their eyes mixing envy with suspicion. Efua, once the village beauty, now stood in Zara's shadow, her popularity fading like dye in the sun. There's something unnatural about her, Efua muttered to her friends. No one changes like that overnight. You're just jealous, another woman replied. Your time in the sun is over, Efua. Zara is the queen now. But Zara's closest friend, Adwa, saw something else. She watched as Zara transformed from a kind, humble girl into someone she barely recognized. One evening, Adwa confronted her outside Zara's family compound. What's happened to you, Zara? You've changed. You're cruel now. You mock people who care about you. Zara's eyes flashed with anger. Changed? I've finally become who I was always meant to be. You're just upset because men finally look at me instead of walking past me like I'm invisible. But at what cost? Adwa's voice broke. You've lost yourself, Zara. The girl I grew up with was kind and warm. This person standing before me, I don't know her. Then maybe you never really knew me at all, Zara snapped, turning her back on her oldest friend. That night, Zara's mother tried to speak with her daughter as they prepared the evening meal. Zara, my child, I'm worried about you. This change, it's not natural, and the way you speak to people now— Not you too, Mama. Zara slammed the wooden spoon down. Why can't you be happy for me? For once in my life, I'm beautiful. I'm desired. I'm somebody. You were always somebody, my daughter. You just couldn't see it. Her mother's eyes filled with tears. Beauty that comes too easily often carries a curse. There's no curse, Mama. Only jealous people who can't stand to see me shine. Zara stormed out of the hut, leaving her mother alone with her fears. The warnings came from other places, too. The village elder, Nana Kwame, approached Zara one morning as she drew water from the well. Child, his voice was grave, I have lived many years and seen many things. Beauty gained through shortcuts always demands payment. Whatever you're doing, stop now before it's too late. Zara laughed in his face. Old man, your time has passed. You don't understand the modern woman. We take what we want now. She walked away, leaving Nana Kwame shaking his head sadly. But Zara's confidence was beginning to crack, even if she wouldn't admit it. Her waist was growing faster now, beyond what she had wanted. Each week when she visited Mama Ya, she needed stronger charms just to maintain control. Perhaps we should slow down, Mama Ya suggested during one midnight visit, her eyes narrowed with concern. The magic is becoming too powerful, child. It's starting to take on a life of its own. No! Zara's voice was desperate now, not confident. I need more. Efua is trying to reclaim her place. I saw men looking at her again yesterday. I need to be bigger, more impressive. Give me the strongest charm you have. Child, listen to me. I'll pay triple. Zara emptied her purse, coins and cowrie shells scattering at Mama Ya's feet. Just give it to me. Mama Ya stared at the money, then at Zara's desperate face. Finally, she sighed and reached into a hidden pocket, pulling out a small black pouch that seemed to pulse with dark energy. "This is the most powerful charm I have," she said slowly, "but once you use it, I cannot undo what follows. The magic will be beyond my control. Do you understand?" "Yes, yes, I understand. Just give it to me." Zara snatched the pouch from Mama Ya's hands. "Then may the gods have mercy on you." "Foolish child," Mama Ya whispered as Zara disappeared into the night. Zara tied the charm around her waist that night, her hands shaking with anticipation. She fell asleep dreaming of the next day, when she would be the most magnificent woman Akala had ever seen. But when morning came, Zara woke to a nightmare. Her waist had exploded in size overnight. It was enormous, grotesque, so large she couldn't see her own feet when she looked down. She tried to sit up and couldn't. The weight was too much. "No, no, no!" She clawed at the charm around her waist, but it had fused to her skin, impossible to remove. "Mama, Mama!" Her mother rushed in and screamed, "Zara, what happened to you?" "Help me, Mama, I can't move, it won't stop." And it was true. Even as they spoke, Zara could feel her waist expanding, slowly but steadily, like bread dough rising in the sun. Her mother ran for help. Within minutes, the compound was filled with neighbors, all staring at Zara in horror and shock. The women who had envied her now looked at her with pity. The men who had desired her turned away in disgust. "It's a curse," someone shouted. "She used juju," another voice called out. "I knew it wasn't natural." Zara's tears flowed freely now, all her pride dissolving into shame and fear. Through the crowd, she saw Efua standing at the back, her face unreadable. Their eyes met, and Efua simply shook her head and walked away. The village chief arrived, his face stern. "Clear out, give them space." He waited until the crowd dispersed, then turned to Zara's mother. "This is dark magic. I've seen it before in my grandfather's time. She must confess what she's done." Before you continue with the rest of this story, I want to ask you something. Have you ever chased something so desperately that you lost sight of who you really were? If this story is speaking to you, please hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below. Let me know what you think Zara should do next. And if you're enjoying this tale, give it a like. Now, let's see what happens to our desperate girl. Between sobs, Zara confessed everything. The midnight meetings with Mama Ya, the charms, the growing addiction to attention and admiration. Every detail spilled out like water from a broken pot. "Where is this Mama Ya?" the chief demanded. They sent warriors to the forest, but Mama Ya's camp was gone. Not a trace remained, as if she had never existed at all. "She's abandoned you, child," the chief said quietly. "This is your burden to bear now." For 3 days, Zara remained trapped in her mother's hut as her waist continued to grow. She couldn't walk, could barely move. The door had to be widened just so people could bring her food and water. Children gathered outside to peek through the windows, pointing and whispering. Adwoa came on the 3rd night, slipping into the hut when others had left. "I told you," Adwoa said softly, sitting beside her friend. "I told you that you were losing yourself." "I know," Zara whispered, her voice hollow. "I know, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Adwoa. I was horrible to you, to everyone. I was so caught up in being desired that I forgot how to be human." "What are you going to do?" Adwoa took Zara's hand. "I don't know. The healers can't help me. The priests can't break the curse. I'm going to die like this, aren't I? A cautionary tale for the village. The girl who wanted too much." Adwoa was quiet for a long moment, then spoke carefully. "There might be one way. My grandmother once told me about the river goddess, Asuo Niame. She's more powerful than any charm maker, more ancient than any curse. If anyone can help you, it's her." "The river goddess," hope flickered in Zara's eyes. "But the river is half a day's journey. I can't even stand." "Then we'll carry you," Adwoa said firmly. Your mother, me, and anyone else who still has love in their heart for you. We'll leave tonight. Zara's mother agreed immediately, and to Zara's surprise, several other women volunteered to help despite everything she had done. Even Kofi, the farmer's son she had humiliated, offered his strength. Why would you help me? Zara asked him, tears streaming down her face. I was so cruel to you. Kofi's smile was sad but genuine. Because everyone deserves a chance at redemption. Even you, Zara. That night, under the cover of darkness, they fashioned a large mat that 6 people could carry. They lifted Zara onto it, and the painful journey began. Every step sent jolts of pain through Zara's body. Her waist was so heavy that the carriers had to stop and rest every few minutes. I'm sorry, Zara kept whispering. I'm so sorry for putting you through this. Save your breath, her mother said gently. We have a long way to go. They walked through the night, through the forest where Zara had first met Mama Ya, past the marketplace where she had once boasted so loudly. Down paths she had travelled with pride that now felt like a different lifetime. As dawn broke, they reached the sacred river. The water sparkled silver in the early light, flowing swift and clear over smooth stones. Mist rose from the surface, creating ghostly shapes that danced and disappeared. Leave me here, Zara said. This is my burden. I must face the goddess alone. The others helped her to the water's edge, then stepped back, watching nervously. Zara looked at her reflection in the water and barely recognized herself. Not because of her size, but because of her eyes. They looked empty, haunted by choices she couldn't undo. Asuo Nyame, she called out, her voice cracking. River goddess, I beg you to hear me. I am Zara, daughter of Ama, and I have been a fool. The mist began to swirl faster, coalescing into a shape. A figure emerged from the water, tall and luminous, with eyes like deep pools, and hair that flowed like the river itself. I know who you are, child. The goddess's voice was like water over stones, ancient and powerful. I have watched your descent into vanity. Tell me, why should I help someone who mocked the natural gifts she was given? Someone who traded her humanity for hollow admiration? Zara's whole body shook with sobs. I can't give you a good reason, great goddess. I was vain. I was cruel. I hurt people who loved me. I became a monster inside long before I became one outside. But I'm begging you, not because I deserve help, but because I finally understand what I've lost. And it wasn't my slim waist, it was myself, my kindness, my humanity, my friends. Everything that actually mattered. The goddess studied her for a long moment. Pretty words, child, but words are easy when you're desperate. Answer me truly. If I restore you to your original form, will you fall back into the same patterns? Will you seek other shortcuts to admiration? No. Zara's voice was firm despite her tears. I swear on my mother's life, I will never again value appearance over character. I will never again let pride blind me to the people who matter. I will spend the rest of my days trying to be the person I should have been all along. And what of beauty? Do you still crave it? Zara thought carefully before answering. I think I'm beginning to understand that beauty without character is just decoration, empty and meaningless. I'd rather be plain and kind than beautiful and cruel. I'd rather have one true friend than 100 admirers who don't really know me. The goddess nodded slowly. You have learned something at least. But learning is not enough. You must prove your sincerity. Answer me 3 questions and answer them truly. I will, Zara whispered. First question, what makes a woman truly valuable in this world? Zara closed her eyes, thinking of her mother's endless patience, of Adwoa's loyal friendship, of all the women she had dismissed in her pursuit of admiration. Her character, her kindness, the way she treats others, especially when she has nothing to gain from them, her strength in the face of hardship, her ability to love and be loved genuinely. Second question, what is worth more than the admiration of strangers? This answer came easier now. The love of people who know you truly and care for you anyway. The respect you have for yourself when you look in the mirror and recognize the person staring back. Peace of mind, a clean conscience. Final question, and this is the most important one. Will you accept yourself as you were meant to be, without embellishment or enhancement, for the rest of your days? Zara opened her eyes and looked directly at the goddess. Yes, I will, because anything else is a lie, and lies always extract a price. I've learned that now. I accept myself, whatever form that self takes. The goddess was silent for so long that Zara wondered if she had failed. Then, finally, the luminous figure smiled. You have answered with wisdom born from suffering, child. That is the only wisdom that truly changes a person. Come. Enter the water and release your pride. Let the river wash away your vanity and carry it to the sea, where it can harm you no more. With her mother and Adwoa's help, Zara crawled into the river. The water was surprisingly warm, wrapping around her like a gentle embrace. She felt the charm around her waist begin to dissolve, the magic releasing its grip on her body. It hurts, she gasped as her waist began to shrink. Growth always hurts, the goddess said, whether growing larger or growing wiser. Breathe through it, child. Zara submerged herself completely, letting the water cover her head. In that moment of total surrender, she felt everything she had clung to for the past 3 months wash away. The pride, the vanity, the desperate need for validation. It all dissolved like salt in water. When she emerged, gasping for air, her waist was normal again. Not impressive, not remarkable, just ordinary, just hers. She looked down at herself and began to cry again, but this time with relief. Thank you, she whispered to the goddess. Thank you. Do not thank me, child. Thank those who carried you here despite how you treated them. Thank those who still saw the person you could become beneath the monster you had become. And then spend your life proving their faith was not misplaced. The goddess dissolved back into mist, and the river returned to its normal flow, as if nothing extraordinary had happened at all. Zara's mother and Adwoa rushed forward, pulling her from the water and wrapping her in dry cloth. They were laughing and crying at the same time, holding her tight. I'm sorry, Zara said to both of them. I'm so sorry. We know, her mother said, kissing her forehead. We know, my daughter. Now let's go home. The journey back to the village was different, lighter somehow, despite Zara's exhaustion. She walked on her own feet, supported by people who had every right to abandon her, but chose not to. When they reached the village, word spread quickly. People came out to see the transformation, their faces showing a mixture of relief and curiosity. Some still looked at her with judgment, others with pity. But Zara found she didn't care about either anymore. She went directly to the marketplace, to the place where she had boasted so loudly just weeks before. A small crowd gathered, whispering among themselves. Zara stood tall, not with pride, but with humility, and spoke clearly. I need to say something to all of you. I was wrong. About everything, I let vanity poison my heart. I used dark magic to chase admiration I hadn't earned. I was cruel to people who cared about me. I mocked those I should have respected. I became someone unrecognizable, and I hurt this community. Her voice shook, but didn't break. I can't undo what I did. I can't take back the harsh words or erase the disappointment I caused. But I can promise you this. I will spend every day trying to be better, to be kinder, to be the person I should have been all along. And if you can't forgive me, I understand. I barely forgive myself. The silence that followed felt eternal. Then Nana Kwame, the village elder she had disrespected, stepped forward. Child, he said, his old eyes twinkling, the fact that you understand you're wrong is the first step toward making it right. Welcome back, Zara. The real Zara. Others slowly nodded or offered small smiles. Not everyone. Some still turned away, their wounds too fresh, but enough to give her hope. Kofi approached her last, his expression uncertain. Zara, You don't have to say anything, Zara interrupted gently. I don't expect forgiveness from you, Kofi. What I said to you was unforgivable. Actually, Kofi said with a slight smile, I was going to ask if you'd like to walk by the river with me. The offer still stands if you're interested. No pressure. Zara looked at him, really looked at him, seeing not a farmer's son with dirt under his nails, but a kind man with a generous heart. I would like that very much, but can we just be friends first? I need to learn how to be myself again before I can be anything to anyone else. Friends sounds perfect, Kofi agreed. In the weeks that followed, Zara worked hard to rebuild her life and her relationships. She helped her mother with chores without complaint. She apologized personally to everyone she had wronged, including Afua, who accepted her apology with grace. She spent time with young girls in the village, teaching them what she had learned. You are enough exactly as you are, she would tell them. Don't let anyone, especially not yourself, convince you otherwise. Beauty fades, charms break, but who you are in here, she would tap their chests over their hearts. That's what lasts. That's what matters. One evening, several months later, Adwa and Zara sat by the river, watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant colours. Do you ever miss it? Adwa asked quietly. The attention, the admiration. Zara thought about the question honestly. Sometimes, she admitted. It's hard not to miss feeling special, feeling seen. But then I remember what I had to become to get that attention, and I realize I was never really seen at all. People were looking at an illusion, not at me. Now, when someone looks at me, they see Zara, the real one, and that's worth more than all the admiration in the world. You've changed, Adwoa said, smiling. For real this time. I hope so, Zara replied. Every day I hope so. The story of the girl with the big waist and the big secret became a tale told around village fires for generations. Parents used it to teach their children about vanity and authenticity. Young women heard it as a warning about shortcuts and self-acceptance. And whenever someone in the village seemed to be losing themselves in pursuit of empty admiration, the elders would say, "Remember Zara, remember what she lost and what she found." As for Zara herself, she lived the rest of her days with quiet dignity. She never became the most beautiful woman in the village, nor the most celebrated. But she became something better. She became whole. She became genuine. She became herself. And in a world of illusions and charms, of shortcuts and enhancements, being truly yourself is the rarest magic of all. Years later, when Zara had children of her own, her daughter asked her one evening, "Mama, what's the most important thing you ever learned?" Zara pulled her daughter close and said, "That the biggest secret we carry isn't what we hide beneath our clothes or behind our smiles. It's what we carry in our hearts. And the most beautiful thing you can be is honest, kind, and true to yourself. Everything else is just decoration." Her daughter nodded, not quite understanding but sensing the weight of the words. She would understand someday, when she was older. For now, it was enough to sit in her mother's arms and feel loved exactly as she was. And that, perhaps, was the real magic after all. The end.